Welcome everybody to Amplifying Voices.
Jen, I loved that video. It was so touching. Like I actually felt a little emotional. Like, we've been dealing with all of our speakers and we've got to meet all the amazing people that are going to speak tonight. But just seeing them with their kids, it made it so real to me.
Oh my God. Today is Global Parents Day, and we are celebrating parents with DIF-Abilities. And this event is something that we saw from the beginning, and what it has become with all the media attention that Marjorie, Ingrid, and Martin have been able to give it. It has been amazing. So for most of you who are tuning in, you might not know who we are and what Speaker Slam is or what Amplifying Voices is. So I'm just going to give you a little rundown. So I am Dan Shake.
And I'm Rena Rovinelli.
And we are the co-founders of Speaker Slam. 5 years ago, we met and we started an inspirational speaking competition in Toronto. And from that, it just took off with hundreds and hundreds of people coming to our events monthly. And this past 2020, we launched our event online and suddenly became globally accessible. We have the #1 training program for inspirational speakers called Emerging Speakers. And we're super excited for what Amplifying Voices is becoming as the extension stage of Speaker Slam.
So we actually started Amplifying Voices with the George Floyd debacle that happened last year. And I think what happened is we saw a lot of people in our community, a lot of our speakers, are Black speakers that were in a lot of pain, and we wanted to be able to do something. And we thought if we could give them a platform to share their voice and really highlight their stories, maybe it would be healing and cathartic. So we had a beautiful, brilliant event with 10 of our speakers and past judges come and share their stories. And it was so inspiring. So we decided that we wanted to create an event. Not everybody wants to compete, but we wanted to be able to shine a light onto the stories that really matter. So we did Amplifying Voices on Women's Day. We had 10 amazing speakers. And tonight we're super excited to be able to have this event. As Dan mentioned, we run the Emerging Speaker Training Program, and part of the certification is encouraging speakers to create their own events. And so when Martin and Marjorie and Ingrid got together and decided that they wanted to do something for parents with disabilities, it was absolutely the perfect group that we really wanted to highlight these voices. They need to be heard. These stories need to be shared. And we're super excited. And I've been bursting with pride. I'm like a proud mom. Every time I see them on TV, every time I see them post, every time I see them connect with anyone, like we're super proud. And so, so we're excited to have this event tonight. And Dan, I think we should bring them up. We should have them
exactly.
up here.
Without further ado, let's meet your hosts, your event producers right now.
Oh, here they come. It's so exciting. How are you guys?
Great, excited.
So this is exciting. So Marjorie, did you have the first idea about this?
I think we basically had the idea at the same time. We just like crossed paths. So
I love that.
And I just like went boom. That's for us.
This was a natural fit for you guys.
Natural fit.
Absolutely. We've been advocating for parents with disabilities for years.
Exactly. Now we finally get to shine a light. And Martin, how did you feel when you joined the group?
I felt like all the hard work was actually done.
Score, right?
Yeah, I got some advice a couple of years ago to stick with the winners, so that's what I did. There were 2 winners.
You are on the winning team 100%. Okay, so we wish you so much luck. We absolutely love and adore you guys. And I guess we will turn it over to Ingrid, who is going to do the land acknowledgement tonight. So good luck.
Thank you, everyone. This evening, we begin our gathering by recognizing that no matter where we are joining from, we are on the traditional territories of Indigenous peoples. Here in Toronto, we recognize the original caretakers of this land to include the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, the Wendat, the Chippewa, and the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nations. We are covered by the Dish with One Spoon Treaty. As our nation seeks to reconcile the horror of colonialism, it necessitates a recognition that Indigenous voices have been silenced, abused, and dismissed. Persons with disabilities and alternative ways of being are familiar with erasure and discrediting. We therefore raise our voices in solidarity with Indigenous ones that have been crying out for a long time for justice. Tonight on this platform, we model an avenue of reconciliation where marginalized voices will be heard and appreciated in their authenticity, and where our interconnectedness supersedes any perceived differences. And as we move through our agenda tonight, we want to let us uphold this understanding in our hearts and let it guide our interactions and use of this space. And so in this spirit, I welcome you. You know, disability-helmed initiatives like Amplifying the Voices of Disabled Parents is an important work in the deconstructing of ableism and the reconstructing of accessible futures for all of us. The disability community is not responsible to promote diversity. However, it is important that we share our voices telling our stories, because in order to understand the beauty of our beings and the alluring, unique qualities of our lives, we need to be heard in our own voice, telling our own stories so that you are able to listen to our hearts. It's time to get empowered with some powerful storytelling. My co-producer, Marjorie, is a psychologist and longtime advocate for disabled parents before becoming a mother with spinal cord injury. She exemplifies courage and inner joy. Please welcome Marjorie Unos.
Dear Thomas, I thought I had lost you, or rather, I thought you had lost me. I had seen the pickup truck ahead and knew of the car behind me. When that first swoop happened, I knew I was gone. That day was a good day to die. I was in a very happy place. I was happy because I had you in my life. And that was the issue. How could I leave you behind? So I said, no, I'm not dying today. And with all the love I have in my heart, I asked to stay with you. When I woke up in the car, I knew something really terribly wrong had happened. Something that would change both my life and yours forever. In the hospital, I was told I would never walk again. And all I could do was cry. My whole life was destroyed. I didn't know how to live this way. To cheer me up, Mommy brought you to me. I was so excited to finally see you after 5 long days being apart. But as soon as you came in, you got scared, clinging to Mommy for dear life, climbing over her shoulder, your screams resounding in the whole intensive care unit. I was scared too, and in pain. With all those tubes I had out in both my arms, I felt useless, as I couldn't pick you up or hold you tight. I couldn't make it better for you. My arms were bruised, my heart broken, I had asked to live for you, and here we were in my hospital room, unable to even get close to one another. I thought my life was over. But Mammy knew best, so she brought you to see me every single day for a few minutes, never too long, just enough for you to get used to me again. You first stayed away, checking regularly if Mammy was still around. I would read you stories. We would eat Jell-O together. Then we got to play, throwing blocks onto the floor, watching them fall, with neither of us being able to pick them up. A month passed, and then a few weeks in rehab. And then one day, while we were playing with cars on a tabletop, your little feet climbed onto my own. And you came up, bent on top of mine. And there you were, sitting on my laps, with your two little arms around my neck. You hugged me. And with my arms, I hugged you back. That hug gave me so much joy. When I lost my ability to walk, I had feared that I wouldn't be able to be your mummy anymore. But with your hug, you told me that I was. You told me that you still loved me. Your hug meant that it didn't matter that I was now on wheels. It only mattered that I was with you and that you were with me.
What an absolutely beautiful story. Thank you, Marjorie. Our next speaker, Marco, is an award-winning entrepreneur, and as a new father, he doesn't let having cerebral palsy get in the way of his joy in parenting. Please welcome Marco Pasqua.
Thank you so much. You know, for as long as I can remember, I knew I wanted to be a dad. But something that people don't necessarily know about me is I used to have a fear that one day if I were to be a parent, my child wouldn't respect me as much as my peers or counterparts that didn't have a disability. They wouldn't see me as an authoritative figure. And I remember opening up years ago when I used to play competitive wheelchair basketball to one of my teammates, Murray. He was a few years older than me, and he already had a daughter, and he was paraplegic. So I asked him, have you ever had any challenges? I have this fear that my son or daughter in the future, if I were to have one, if I'm lucky enough to have one, that they're not going to respect me. I'll still remember the grin on his face. He said, well, that's just silly. I said, well, what do you mean? Well, see, I might not necessarily run, and my daughter might be a lot faster than me, but one thing I can tell you is that at the end of the day, she just sees me as dad. I internalized that. I didn't really know fully what that meant until, of course, this year. My wife and I, just a couple of months ago, were lucky enough to be welcoming our very first child. I still remember it like yesterday because it practically was. We're in the delivery room and I'm holding her hand, and all those fears I once had of my future child potentially not respecting me or seeing me as the same because of my disability and my wheelchair had basically melted away. But as I'm holding my wife's hand and she's delivering, I'm hearing the nurses talk about how there's some complications, that potentially there's issues that are taking place, that every time my wife is having contractions, that the heart rate of my child is slowing down. And all of a sudden, like a rush of energy, those fears came back in me. Not just the fears of if my child would respect me, but now is my wife and my child even going to make it out of the delivery room? Or is my child going to be born with a disability like her father? Well, I'm happy to say that my daughter ended up being very happy and healthy. And in the past 2 months of getting to know her, I can tell you that I finally understand what Murray meant. You see, when I'm playing with my daughter on the couch, even though she is only 2 months old, the second that she looks up at me with her steel blue eyes and she smiles at me, I know everything is okay. And I know that my daughter doesn't see me for my disability. She just sees me as dad. So my message to all you potential parents with disabilities out there, if you're thinking about it, if you currently are, don't sweat the small things. Know that you'll adapt as you go. And at the end of the day, your child is just going to see you as mom or dad. Thanks.
Amazing, Marco. That's an incredible story. Our children do see past our disabilities. Our next speaker, Lindsey, has 2 girls and works for the Association for Successful Parenting that advocates for parents with intellectual disabilities. Here's Lindsey Brillhart to share her story.
Hi, thank you. You know what? I normally do a different story, but I have a story about actually today. Patience. Oh my goodness, with COVID and with other things, you have to have patience with your kids and with yourself. This morning, my phone wasn't working, and I did everything on my phone, and it wasn't working. And sometimes you have to have patience with everything. So I'm glad that I have patience, even with my little girl. My little girl, my youngest, is nonverbal autistic on the low spectrum. So sometimes I have to have patience because she doesn't know how to communicate with me the best way. So it's important to communicate with your kids the best way you know how, and with parents and with family and with teachers and everything else. So that's my biggest thing. Have patience, because we never know what's going to happen. And if we have patience, then things can get done. And I just want to thank everybody for letting me speak today.
Thank you so much for sharing your story, Lindsey. We so appreciate that. Our next speaker coming up is Melanie. She is an Indigenous advocate and founder of Circle Insights Consulting. As a blind parent, her jubilation has known no bounds. Please help me to welcome Melanie Morrison.
Melanie, you're on mute. Just unmute yourself. We're going to come back to you.
At this moment, I'm going to invite Marjorie Unos to come on stage and introduce our next happening.
Well, we are very, very excited for these next 2 ladies, to have them with us. So first, I want to introduce to you Anya. Anya Simmons is a qualified British nanny and mother of 2. She thought that parenting would be easy because she had the training of a nanny, until she actually became a mom. And like pretty much everyone like us, she learned that it was a different type of journey. She is the host of Parenting Differently and has interviewed both Ingrid and myself, and also Martin, recently. So we're super happy that she agreed to interview Senator and Paralympic Chantal Petit. So Senator Petit was born in Quebec, and at the age of 13, she lost the use of her legs following an accident. She discovered wheelchair athletics, which led her to having a successful career. She participated in several Paralympic Games and returned from the 2008 Beijing Paralympic Games with 5 gold medals, for a total of 21 Paralympic medals, making her the most celebrated female track athlete in history, the most medaled Canadian Paralympic athlete, and as well as the only Canadian athlete to have won gold medals at the Olympics, Paralympics, and Commonwealth Games. She is a senator at the Senate of Canada since 2016, who aims at bettering the health of Canadians, as well as being a strong advocate for the rights of persons with disabilities. She is a sought-after speaker, and we are so thrilled that she agreed to come and speak here. So we welcome Anya and Senator and Paralympic medalist Chantal Petit.
Hello, hello, and welcome. So nice to meet you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's an honor. We're very excited to have you here with us, Senator. So thank you. So we just dive right in and find out, you know, the first question we all want to know: who are you a mummy to? Who are you mothering at this time?
Well, I am the mother of Elliot. Elliot, who is 7-year-old and just finishing first grade very in a few weeks. So I've been I retired from sport after the Beijing Games in 2008, and it took me a few years to decide if I wanted to be a mother, or if I was just having some blues after retiring from sport. And then it came to me that I really wanted to do that, and that's how we made that decision.
Wonderful. Oh, thank you. Thank you. And on your motherhood journey, what are you uncovering about yourself, about you?
Well, that is the very interesting about being a parent is you discover a human being that is your child, but you also find out and discover so many things about yourself that you didn't know. And for me, I think maybe because I had my child when I was already in my 40s, so I felt very, very privileged that I could be pregnant and have a baby after retirement from high performance. And then I realized that I had some strength, like anybody, some strengths, some weaknesses, of course. I'm very patient. I didn't think I was patient. And I can be funny, which really is the one thing that I find that being a mom allows me to be goofy and to be funny and to be creative and to and things that I didn't think I was, and maybe I never explored because I didn't have the chance. But I find that our children really allows us to do that, because you're doing it with them, you're doing it for them, and so I really quite enjoy that part.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah, you get to play again, I guess, too, right? And be silly. So super.
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. And so what would be, do you think, your most joyful part of your day?
I think it depends. It also depended on the age. I really enjoyed having, I stayed at home for 2 years. I made that choice. I knew that I would have one child, and I could do it, and I wanted to do that. I wanted to be there for the first 2 years. And so this was even to this day, I very much cherish that part. I know that everybody's so different, because I have some friends that are like, oh no, after 5 months, I'm going back to work. Me, I really enjoyed that part so much. But now Elliot is older, like this year, he's starting to read. Their thinking at 7 is just a little more complex. And so these days, I really appreciate the end of day. The pandemic, we know, has been so challenging. But I find, and as a parent, it's been very challenging. I recognize that. But in my case, it's also brought us some sort of, different routines, I guess, and some moments that I really appreciate. And so, I like the end of the day. We go outside, we go for a walk, like he goes in the swings, and we play a little bit of basketball, even if I can't play basketball, but I just pretend I can. And then we come back and we read, because he loves that. And these days, I read a book and then he reads one that he can read at his stage. So we read 2 books, and it's just very, very special. And I make him warm milk, which really he doesn't appreciate anymore so much, but I still do it.
Yeah, it's part of your ritual. Yeah,
it means something. I'm not sure what, but so I really like those moments, and he still allows me to cuddle a little bit, which I'm not allowed in the morning at school because we want to be cool.
That's
so
right.
The end of the days are nice.
Oh, I love that. That's so cool. That is really lovely. And was there a value, like in taking your parenting seriously, which obviously you did make when you made your choices, was there a value you thought of that you really wanted to impart to him?
Yes, I think there are many values that I want to pass to him. I want him to, I think family is very important to me. Us 3 being the 3 Musketeers, and to be this family and this very, very connected team. I think that's very important to me. But as he's growing older, I find it so interesting that he's very keen on the environment because of school, of course, but because we're always outdoors because of what we teach him. And he's got a couple chores in the house, and his big thing is that he's taking down the recycling and compost. And so this is one thing I want to, but these days, as he's in school and more, I think, immersed in diversity, I find it's very important to show him and teach him the importance of respect in all the differences. We live downtown Montreal, and he's in contact with all kind of differences and abilities, disabilities, gender differences, and I really want him to be just comfortable that you can be who you want, love who you want, and it's all good. And I think it's happening, and I'm hoping that he will keep growing into this very welcoming the differences kind of individual.
Oh my gosh, amazing. And I really think I follow you with that I think this next generation, they're going to rock it.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yes.
Awesome.
I want to say, if I have time, I had the best anecdote the other day, because his best friend is Nolan, right? And he came to me and he said, "Oh, I'm in love with Charlie, this little girl, and I'm gonna, if she wants, I'm gonna marry her." So I was like, "Okay, this is great, consent." So he's thinking, and then he said, "And then we can have a baby." And then he said, "Well, if she doesn't want, I can marry Nolan, but then we need to adopt the baby." And I thought, this is so cool, because there's 7, and like his mom is in a wheelchair, and he just doesn't see differences for them. Is just something, it is what it is. It's a difference and nothing more.
No, and he was very factual, right? He had it all sort of figured out, nice and factual. How fantastic. Wonderful. And so for you personally, in as a mother, what do you think's been your hardest part, the hardest part of being a mom?
I think, the story of Marco resonates with me, because I had some fears being a person in a wheelchair. I didn't have fear on authority, but I had fears on what is it that I can't do with him when he was a child, and frustration. I have to say, I'm a former Paralympian. I'm very independent. I'm very strong and able with my wheelchair. But when you have a 3-year-old and you're in a park, and parks in Montreal are just the sandbox, and then you're like, okay, I hope he comes back, because I don't know what I'm going to do. And that part for me, like that very, very physical challenges was I did not like that. Like it got to me, because that's not, you want to do everything, you want to be everything. But I thought it was a bit of a learning lesson, that it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to ask your spouse, your friends, and so. But I have to say that that
right
part when my son was at this age where, I wanted to go swim with him, but I'm like, maybe I should wait until he can swim a bit better. Like, you don't want to take a chance. And so those limits, I did not appreciate too much. I did not enjoy that. But at the same time, I think for Elliot, it didn't matter. And, like sometimes things get to us, but they don't care. Like, they don't care.
No, I agree. I totally agree with that. Do you have a story perhaps you can share where Elliot made you laugh, or his humor, his fun?
Elliot makes me laugh all the time, and even more so that myself and my husband, we're not really we're not extroverted, we're not party people, and we're quiet, right? And Elliot is this like ball of energy, and he's funny and he's goofy, and sometimes we're like, okay, we're not sure how that happened, but it's really fun, and he's always trying to make us laugh, and he's got this great spirit. So I think it's good energy, and it's also always a reminder that life doesn't have to be complicated, and that it's okay to be happy. And so he really brings so much joy in our life. Yeah.
Fantastic. Wow. Yeah, it is funny when, as a parent, when you look at your child and you go, I'm not sure where you came from. Like, you're so different.
Exactly.
In all the good ways and all the crazy ways, right? But I love that.
Exactly.
That is fantastic.
Yes.
And actually mentioned it a little bit, but I was curious as to how important you think support is as a mother, like to be able to ask for support, to be supported.
Well, I mean, I think it's important for every mother, every parent. And I think there could be some differences if you're a parent with a disability, I suppose. When I look back, I think that sometimes I was, I had too much fears for what it was. And I didn't take enough chances, or it took me a while to say, okay, I can go on a road trip with that child and everything will work out fine, because I was always thinking, what if this happens and I'm on my own, and for a few years so I did have a good support system. I think it's important. I think any parent, it's a tough job. It's full time, and having people around, I think it makes a huge difference. I'm looking forward for having the right to get the grandparents back, because I want to go out for dinner with my husband. And it's been a year, so I'm looking forward to this. To having everybody back in our lives, because that's when you realize that even if it's only a little bit, it really does help. I think also when it comes to support, I was very privileged, because coming from my background as a Paralympian, I knew a lot of moms in wheelchair with the same disability, so former athletes, and we connected. And in fact, we have a Facebook group that we just ask for tips, like what car seat works, what is easy when you're carrying a little baby in your wheelchair. So this was very, very important. And I think that there could be more of it. There are some groups or some organization, but I didn't feel that I was overloaded with them, and I had to reach out a little bit. But sometimes you don't think about it, and you have this friend in Switzerland. I remember she just had this belt with a Velcro, and she's like, this works. Like you sit the baby on your lap, you put a Velcro, and I'm like, yeah, that's simple, but it worked for a few years. And so I think reaching out, I was privileged because I was in that circuit.
Right. You had people.
And connected with these girls who had the babies before me. But sometimes I think if I did not have that network, I'm not sure it would have been so simple.
Right. Yeah. And I relate. I think for all mums, those having those people around who are a little ahead of you maybe, or have gone through something, right? That is lovely. It helps. It helps the whole journey. Oh, wonderful. So let me just check where we got to. Okay. So I think a big question for this Amplifying Voices would be, what do you wish like the larger society really understood about parenting with a disability?
I have to say that it really hit me as a shock to see how a lot of people had some, not taboos or cliches, or were thinking discriminatory a little bit. And I have to say, I did not see that coming. But because I had all these friends who had kids, and to me, it was like, yeah, sure, it will work out, and you have to be creative in this and this. But I remember, my first doctor was like, oh, okay, it might be more complicated. And then I went with another doctor who said, no, it's not complicated. It's, it's the same thing, but in a wheelchair. And I had a few examples of friends or people wanting to help when really you don't need help. I always think about this lady. I was crossing the street, and Elliot was so trained to put his hand on my lap. And that's how we cross the street, because I can't hold his hand and push my chair, right? But he did that, it was so safe and good. And I have this story of this lady seeing me crossing the street and say, oh, I'll hold his hand. I'm like, so that's so not your job. That's not your place. I do have a couple hit stories like that where I'm like, okay, it really means that some individuals, they can't really picture you as a parent, or they're not quite sure if you can actually do it properly without help. And that took me by surprise, I have to say. So, and this makes me think that there's still a lot of education to be done, which we do just by being there every day, by taking them to school, picking them up, and organizing birthday parties. So we do are part of that education, but it was I think those prejudice, is that the word?
Yeah, I think so.
I think they were more there than I thought they would be.
Yeah. And I think people always think, oh, they know better too, whereas it's like, wow, if you see your mom with a child, they got it. We know how amazing moms are. They've got it. Leave them alone,
exactly.
Right?
Exactly. I mean, yes, exactly. I remember I had one day in a bad mood where I was in the park in front of me, and there was a bit of snow, and Elliot was playing, and this person passed by and then stopped and come back, and he said, do you need help with him? And I'm like, and then I was so upset, and I said, well, what kind of parent would I be to be here alone with my child if it was putting him at risk? Like, seriously.
Right. You've only just discovered
it was a bit of my bad mood day. but I think sometimes we need to tell people to keep it to their place.
Yes. Yeah. I agree. Education in so many forms, right?
Yes.
Wonderful. So our last question, this has been a pleasure. I could go on forever. Luckily, nobody's flashing times at me. We'll just keep chatting, if that's okay, Senator. A piece of advice that you maybe would have for a parent with a disability?
I think trust yourself. I think we need to, I mean, when I look back, like I said, sometimes I had hesitancy and some fears, and really, they weren't really that justified. And so I think we need to trust ourselves, and we need to trust our children. It is, for me, it's been amazing how even very, very young, at 4 and 3, Elliot knew that if I was with my husband, there are things he could do, but if he was alone with me, he wouldn't do it. And, because he knew I wanted him closer or that kind of thing. And I think that we need to trust ourselves. We need to trust them. They will help. Like Elliot, I remember very young, he would grab me around the neck to get in the car as a little baby. And we figure it out, and they figure it out. And we have to trust that. And then I would say, reach out for the resources, and not the complicated things, but just the little tips, like having the right bed can change your life when you're in a wheelchair. Because, those little tools, I find sometimes they don't come to you, but they're out there, and they make a difference. So those would be my 2 points.
Wonderful. They are big points. I think all parents can deal with how wise our kids are, right? And to have that trust in you and trust in them. So, Senator, thank you so very much. This has been a real pleasure, a real honor, and thank you for being with us.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's been great, and it's great to listen to the stories. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome.
That was so inspirational. I wish that I had that when I had my accident, because the fears are real. And then, having that community to be able to chit chat and to know that, you can do it, that would have been amazing for me. So I really thank you, Senator, for taking the time today, and Anya for doing a wonderful job with the interview. So our next speaker is Melanie Morrison. We are going to have her come on in just a second. So Melanie, this is your turn.
Hello? Yeah, okay. Ane Sego. Hello, my name is Melanie Marsden Myers. My Indigenous name is She Carries the Light Woman. I am Mohawk and Ojibwe Bear Clan, registered with Alderville First Nations. I honor the land in which I am guest on, the Haudenosaunee territory, located in Brantford, Ontario. I am blind and identifying as a cisgender woman. This presentation is being offered in gratitude to the 7 generations that have come before me. I have wanted to be a mom as long as I can remember. I raised 3 healthy children in a safe environment, despite the many attitudinal barriers many disabled parents face. People with disabilities can be safe, effective parents. Parenting is a journey of taking responsibility for carrying generational trauma, healing through trauma to be a balanced, healthy parent. We know children don't come in a box, neatly wrapped and ready to go. My blindness is not an Indigenous curse. According to elders I have worked with, it's a gift or a choice I made for myself in this life. Learning my traditions as a blind parent has not been easy. However, elders are put in my path for me to hear teachings like learning about carrying my bundle, which is filled with medicines, and other teachings to guide me in leading me to have a balanced life as a parent. This I pass along to my children and my granddaughter, who now has her first pair of moccasins, which will be part of her bundle. Smudging our homes with sage, attending powwows, all help to create healthy generations to come. This is ongoing work. When I was raising my now adult children while doing a degree in social work in Ottawa, sometimes my kids would say, "I wish people wouldn't stare at you." I would reply by saying, "Smile back," a teaching. People don't know what they don't know. I used back carriers for toddlers, canes and guide dogs when I'm navigating. Today, we have many apps which make parenting a lot easier. Virtual school, for example, where teenagers are concerned, as I have one, is a nightmare for all parents, especially when you're blind and Indigenous. Teenagers are going to try not to do their homework. That's just teenagers. I'm not fooled. Relationships are important. I'm embarking on my master's degree in social work in Indigenous Studies at Laurier University. I have also developed Circle Insights Consulting, and I'm the SPIN coordinator. In closing, I think it's important to know that my kids would say to me, "Mom, you've always been there for us," even though I couldn't see if they were scoring a goal. They knew I cheered them on no matter what they did or how what activities they were involved in. I was always there for them. English.
Hey, everybody. It's been a great first half. We're going to be going on break soon, but first we have all three of us, Ingrid, Marjorie, and I, were all emerging speakers, and we wanted to show a little video about that program. So here it is.
You guys ready? When I say speaker, you say slam. Speaker! Slam! Speaker! Slam! Speaker! Slam! Instruments are down, let's go!
In the beginning, Speaker Slam was launched on stages and in venues bursting with the energy of a vibrant, heart-centered community eager to support and be inspired. Our brand caught on fire, and our speakers had powerful transformations on our stages that rippled out and made an impact all around the world. They were being seen and heard, and they were living their dreams of inspiring with their voice. Emerging Speakers was born of that energy. Passionate, dedicated, purpose-driven, our speakers wanted to be the very best they could be. Our Emerging Speakers program brings together the heart and soul of our community, along with all of the learnings we've amassed over the past 5 years. We started by creating a curriculum that has become the foundation of our program. What does it mean to be an inspirational speaker? What is your message to the world? How can you create a story that leaves people in shivers and tears? This curriculum was forged in the 500 million views we've accumulated on our speakers' videos with over 10 powerful viral partners. We took that curriculum and added all of the components we knew our speakers needed to really expand and grow. Beyond everything, the single most important part of our emerging speakers is our community. Imagine a place where your fiercest competitor is also your biggest cheerleader. Our speakers are both challenged and supported by each other. They become friends and they become family. We witness them creating programs and projects that make an impact, and we see them sharing their most vulnerable truths in class. It's beautiful to witness people being seen and heard and validated in a safe, supportive environment. But who is an emerging speaker? An emerging speaker is heart-centered, with a beautiful energy, a supportive cheerleader for their peers, ambitious and motivated to succeed, purpose-driven and on a mission to make a difference in the world, and someone who has faced adversity and who has taken all of life's challenges head on to become the best version of themselves, ready to inspire the world. Is this you? Are these your people? And is this your path? Join us. It's your time to be seen and heard.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Like I said, all three of us are emerging speakers and part of the Speaker Slam program. It's really great. It's you make a lot of friends and you gain a lot of confidence in your speech and in life. So check it out. So we're going to be back at 8:35 sharp. We're going to take a break. We want you guys to network and we want you guys to talk. So we got some questions for you. The questions that we want you to ask are, what is the one lesson that parents taught you that you value most? How do you stay connected with your family? And tell us about a time when you felt most joy. Okay, so tell us the time you felt most joy. How do you stay connected with your family? And what is the best lesson you learned from your parents? So 8:35 sharp, if you're going to leave, you go in the lobby. Make sure you click that theater on the side of the screen to come in and see the rest of us speak, because the speaker right after is really handsome and really good. So talk to you later.
Hi, everyone. I hope you got some time to mingle and create some meaningful connections. We are very, very happy to introduce the next speaker. So just a little anecdote, actually, to introduce Martin. He is one of our fellow emerging speakers, and in one of the competition, I was a bit sad because I didn't make it. And Martin was there to just cheer me on, and that's the kind of guy he is. So we are very happy that he's speaking next. His speeches are always very inspirational and beautiful. So Martin is a father of one, a beautiful daughter called Haley. And Martin was diagnosed with Parkinson at the age of 32, and he had to deal with that. And today he's going to speak about the joys of parenthood. So here we go. Welcome, Martin Parker.
We pulled into Port Perry Hospital parking lot in the freezing rain. My left hand was a little stiff, but we weren't there because of that. We were there to bring our little girl into the world. I was excited, in no way disappointed, just worried. What was I going to teach a little girl? I'm a former jock, closet science fiction comic book nerd. I can lift weights and recite useless pop culture references, but none of that will be useful. She was born the next morning, a healthy baby girl, just like we were told. My wife wanted to know because she doesn't like surprises, but nearly 2 years later, big surprise was coming. The good news is we didn't find anything. The bad news is we didn't find anything, my doctor said. My wife had made me go to the doctor because my left hand had stiffened so badly I couldn't fish change out of my pocket. Countless MRIs, CAT scans, x-rays, blood and urine tests. Later, I ended up on the 7th floor of Toronto Western Hospital being told to open and close my hands, move my wrists back and forth, walk down a hallway, and finally get pushed into a wall that said Toronto Western Hospital Movement Disorder Clinic. My doctor sat me down in her office and gave it to me straight. I think you might have Parkinson's, she said. I really didn't realize the seriousness of what she was saying, or even believe it was happening to me, but sure enough, it was happening to me. I started to research online and read things like Parkinson's is a progressive movement disorder caused by a lack of dopamine in your body, which also affects mood, speech, short-term memory, and even takes your sense of smell, although all Parkinson's patients are different. There's also side effects from medications used to treat the symptoms, not cure, like involuntary movements, mood swings, and impulse control issues. The more I read, the worse it got. My life had just gotten started and I was looking at the end. My job, my house, my family, all in jeopardy. I was especially angry at the fact that my now 2-year-old girl would not have a normal upbringing that I had. This curse that I had to live with is going to steal even the smallest thing that I thought I had to offer her. My life, or at least the quality of it, was in jeopardy, so I doubled down to be the best father I could. Getting up in the morning, making breakfast, taking her swimming, to the zoo, no matter how tired, or I'm ashamed to say how hungover I was. After having stopped working, my alcoholism took over, my marriage fell apart, and it allowed me to sober up and triple down on being a dad. Video games, school field trips, amusement parks. We even read comics, on rainy days. We had season passes to Wonderland one summer. She even got so bored of going to amusement parks. I made sure I was available for all her school field trips and activities, to the point where I was rejected, so other parents had a chance. She would worry about me sometimes. I would just say, I'm always going to try for you. We were having our nightly sleepy time tea. My meds wore off, and I struggled to put it up to my face for a sip. I was shaking, and I asked her sarcastically, what's it like having a dad that can do all these things with you, but can barely walk sometimes and carry his own tea? She said, I feel lucky. I paused and asked her why. Because you have Parkinson's, you don't have to go to work. You can spend more time with me. You can take me swimming. You can go to the zoo, Canada's Wonderland. You come to all my school activities. A lot of my friends' parents have to work, and they're just way too busy to spend time with them. So I'm glad you have Parkinson's. I couldn't believe what I'm hearing. My 8-year-old just taught my 38-year-old ass a lesson in perspective. And I was worried about what I was going to teach her. But maybe she's there to teach me. Is it possible that Parkinson's made me a better father? Would I have tried so hard, or being so attentive? Maybe some of these curses that we get are miraculous blessings in just the ugly wrapping paper. She doesn't know any different, having a dad without Parkinson's, and I don't think she would have it any other way. Thank you.
See, this is Martin. He always finds the perfect picture to really describe what it is. You know, that gift in like the wrong paper, it was perfect. Anyways, I can't say it as good as he does. Our next speaker is Ivanova, and she's a mother of 2. She's also a board member of the Association for Successful Parenting, an association that aims at supporting parents with an intellectual and developmental disability. We are very happy that Ivanova is here with us tonight, and let's give her a warm welcome. Please come to the stage, Ivanova.
Hello, my name is Ivanova Smith, and I have my 2 daughters with me, little Hildegard, and in the background you will see Alexandra. My life is chaos, being a disabled mother of 2. I'm very blessed. I did not always think that I could be a mother. I was born separate. When I was born, I was separated by my brother at birth, and I was put in an institution for the first 5 years of my life. And I was not adopted until I was 5 years old. And I came here to the United States, where I got to learn about being a parent, having a family, being a Christian, getting married, and having an education. But I know there are still a lot of my peers with intellectual and developmental disabilities that are still being discriminated against in parenting, and that needs to change. And that is my passion as a parent, a person with a parent with a disability, is to show the world that I can parent, and that we can parent, and we can give a good life to our children. My children live a happy life with the father, Ian, and I. And we are a really happy family. And I want every person with intellectual and developmental disability like myself to be able to be a parent and have that right to parent. And so that is my passion, and that is why that's what the mission the Lord's given me, and why I love this little girl, Hildegard. Thank you.
Wow, that was so great, Ivanova. And we got to know exactly what it is, right? We're talking about parenting, and sometimes parenting means that we have to have a whole bunch of different arms all ready and all doing a whole bunch of different things at the same time. A parent's life is definitely a chaotic life at times, and we could certainly relate. So our next speaker is someone that's amazing. She's been a great advocate for parents with disabilities all her life. And so she really works hard at making sure that voices are heard and that services are organized to be able to bring forward parenting and parenting differently, but parenting nonetheless. So we are very pleased to welcome Wendy Porsche.
I took 7 pregnancy tests before I believed I was pregnant. Each one, the lines weren't quite clear enough and the colors weren't quite dark enough to convince me that I was really pregnant. My exasperated husband laughed each time I returned from the loo with a new pregnancy test that again and again clearly showed 2 positive lines, as faint as they may be. I have a picture of them all lined up together side by side, each one slightly darker than the last. With each one, you can see my growing amazement and joy at being a mom on display. Having been born missing most of my right arm and my left hand, I was never sure that I'd have the opportunity or the ability to be a mom, so I guess it took a little bit of time for that message to sink in for me. I'd never known any disabled moms in my life before. When my water broke, my husband and I took a taxi in the middle of the night in a snowstorm to Mount Sinai Hospital in Toronto. The taxi driver alternated between speeding up, I've never driven anybody in labor before, and slowing way down. Oh, that's a lot of snow, eh? But we did eventually make it there in the end. I had a long labor, 28 hours. My husband texted my mom and my sisters throughout because they live in Alberta. He also held my hand and stroked my hair and played unrelenting, relaxing spa music. Each contraction I had was punctuated by a chime, literally. Needless to say, spas were ruined for me from that day forward. The first time I held my son, Jasper, after he was born, I was petrified that I would drop him. I asked for and received a pillow to put under my arm as I nervously gripped his little body. The first time I looked at my baby's face, I knew him. I knew that he was mine, and I experienced the kind of wonder that you feel on a starry night. How did we all come to be? How did he come to be my little one? What kind of a person was he going to be? What would he think of me as his mom? And beyond all of that was a love that was all-encompassing, both gentle and fierce, and ultimately life-changing. My husband and I worked hard together those first few months. There were no supports to help me with holding him and burping him and changing him, but we did all of that together. And I may have doubted my ability, and society might have doubted my ability too, but my little boy has other feelings on this matter. Jasper is 8.5 now. He is a dancer in his heart. He sings to himself as he runs through our house every day. He sings me songs that are very often about how much he loves me. We weirdly have exactly the same feet. He is both a Jedi and a Lego master builder. His Lego figures usually have a sword and a laser and 3 guns and a grappling hook and a rope. And very often, I'm hoping that you can see this, very often they have just one arm.
Hey, everybody. What a great speech. It's great how our kids recognize the stuff in us like that. I would like to, at first, before we introduce the next speaker, I'd like to make mention of a charity that we are, a program that we are collecting for. I think Danielle is, Emmy is around there in the chats, sharing a link. It's for Tanya's Place. It's a grassroots kind of private program in Durham region. It helps parents with children with disabilities. They provide respite care and all sorts of things and all sorts of programs and relief for the parents when things just get too much. So if you could just maybe donate, click the link and donate for us. All the proceeds from here are going to there so as well. Our next speaker is somebody I'm always chasing. She's a speaker extraordinaire. She's a mother. She's one of the producers, and she's one of my heroes. Please welcome to the stage, Ingrid Palmer.
There's something called the disability paradox. It's the fact that despite popular belief, persons with disabilities consistently report having a great quality of life. And that's because difficulty doesn't equal misery. Sometimes it equals a good laugh. As a visually impaired mom of 3, I have had difficulty checking on the children's chores. And that has also provided a lot of fodder for our birthday roast. Take cleaning their rooms, for instance. My eldest once hid a mound of toys under her Barbie mat right in front of her doorway. I was so insulted. Even a blind person could have seen that huge bubblegum pink mountain. My son spends a great deal of time in his space behind closed doors, making all kinds of progressive sounds. But when he calls me in to check his room, I'm perplexed, not only by the lack of actual cleaning that has gone on, but also at his seemingly sincere expectation that I simply won't notice. It always makes me wonder how many times this ploy has worked in other situations and what I've been missing. My youngest, on the other hand, at least seems to acknowledge that I do in fact have some, usable vision. She shows me respect by pushing everything into the shadows and dark corners of her room where I won't notice until a few days later when I go in to put something away and trip or bang my head on something odd that she's stuck in the weirdest places. Other times, I walk into a room and they freeze, holding their breath because they know that I pick up on sounds very well. I listen hard. And they're just hoping that my eyes will simply roll unseeingly over them. Once again, not sure how many times this has actually worked before. They keep doing it. So it makes me wonder what they've gotten away with. Kids get up to all kinds of antics, just like, they all do. But it also makes really great laughs when we sit around and get to reminiscing about the hilarious situations that have taken place. Many of them which would not have happened if I did not have a visual impairment. In our family, being able to laugh at yourself and any mishaps is an important characteristic. The concept of joy in the context of disability, of disabled lives, may seem really foreign to some. But the ways in which DIF-abled parents surmount challenges belie our capacities, and it actively demonstrates to our children that finding happiness in any circumstances goes a long way towards achieving success in life. Disability does not impede parenting. We have incredible success in it, as fact, as was displayed tonight on this platform by our incredible speakers. Our greatest challenge is social perceptions and stigma of our methods. As Martin and Marjorie rejoin me on the stage, I just want to acknowledge what an amazing night of inspirational community building and solidarity this has been. Marjorie, Martin, do you have anything to add? It's been such a great night.
It was fantastic. Oh my God, what a lineup of speakers. We knew how to pick them for sure. What did you think, Martin?
I thought it was a great night. I thought the guy right after break was a little shaky, but I
think the guy right after break was awesome.
Very inspirational. I want to go out and be the best dad I can now. Thank you to everybody who spoke tonight and everybody who took the time to come in and hop in and watch us on Facebook Live and everything like that.
It was just great, and I think that we could all relate to those stories, that we have a disability or not. Certainly, our kids will try to get things by us. Like Ingrid was mentioning, it's irrelevant if we have a disability or that we could see them coming or not. It's just the way that it is, but it's what makes parenting sort of fun as a journey. And we are very cherished for that community of parents to come together tonight. Certainly, Ingrid, I think we have a few people that we would like to thank for the evening. Did you want to say a few words?
Absolutely. I really want to thank Rena and Dan from Speaker Slam and the way that they have supported us in putting on this event tonight, and to acknowledge that Amplifying Voices, that platform with Speaker Slam, is a huge support for all and any communities that are seeking to uplift for voices that are not traditionally heard. It's been a wonderful experience tonight to be able to do that and to showcase, the ingenuity within the disabled community.
Yes. Martin?
Yeah.
Do you have a few words?
I hear we're going to be doing this again December 3rd. That's what I hear.
Yeah.
What day is that? What day is December 3rd again? What day will
it's the International Day of People with Disabilities.
International Day of People with Disabilities. I always get those names wrong, but December 3rd we're going to be doing this again. And tell your friends, tell everybody, come on down. We're going to have a great time again. A great night of inspiration, It's going to be cold in December, so you're not going to want to go outside. So you might as well just come on in, check us out on Hop In Again, and join us for more inspirational speaking on December 3rd.
Yes. And speaking of joining us, we would love to have Dan and Rena back with us to close the night, to be able to thank them for offering this platform.
Wow, you guys rocked the stage.
It's funny when Marjorie, when you started, I was just crying through your whole speech. And then I had the biggest, I loved every speech, and I had like this perma smile the whole time. Like every speech was so good. And like Ingrid, you know, I love everything you ever say, right? It was so great. But really my favorite takeaway from the whole night was, Martin, when you shared about, it's really just a lens we look through, right? Like you're looking at the disability, and then through the other lens, your daughter's seeing what an asset it is to have you home and to have your full love and commitment. Like I just had shivers, you know, that's my whole goal, to have shivers. So I was super proud of you. Dan, did you think this was a great success?
Oh, totally. I love the stories that I heard, because it really gave me perspective and more empathy for the things. So I'm grateful that this happened.
We're super appreciative of our community for coming up. My God, we love our emerging speakers. They're here in full force supporting. I love our entire community who's come out. I love all of the new people that are joining us, and I know that you're super inspired. And we don't want you to leave, okay? Don't leave. There's lots going on right now. Number one, please, if you haven't donated yet, head over. I know Emmy's going to put that link up. It's for a great cause, for a great charity. We have an amazing lounge with Mr. Handsome Martin, who's going to be in there rocking the lounge. And you can get to go. And we really, one of the main goals for us with Amplifying Voices is to shine a light on all voices. So you've got to listen. Now we want you to go over and unpack your feelings, share your thoughts, talk, connect, communicate. You don't have to leave, stay in network. We'll definitely leave the platform open for another hour. And we have our expo. Dan, tell them about our expo.
The expo feature is right there in Hop In on your bottom left. And there we have 2 booths. So one thing that you should know about Speaker Slam is we do competitions. And the next theme is fathers, the men that shape us. And you are a parent, you have had a dad, or you've had a man that has impacted your life. This is a time, if you want to shine a light on that story, we urge you to compete, because this one is going to be a good one. It's right after Father's Day, so really excited for it. And next, we have our booth for emerging speakers, the #1 inspirational speaking program out there for inspirational speakers. Rena?
I did want to say that all 3, Ingrid, Marjorie, and Martin, have competed and been continually in the top 10. And so like, I'm just bursting with pride when I hear them speak tonight, because they're so good and they just killed it. So definitely, if you want to follow in their footsteps, check out our booths and stick around, and we're all going to be around for the next hour.
With that, we're going to close off the night. Remember, you are seen, you are heard, and you are enough. Have a good night.
Woohoo!
Yeah, peace.